And we're live in umbraCoffee episode 208. Hi, Callum. How are you?
Hey, Marcin. I'm good. How are you? You remember the intro this week?
Yes, just 4 minute delayed, but yeah, I remembered about it. I hope to remember about it for every umbraCoffee onwards. Yeah, we got stuck into some pre-go live discussions, but there always we need to do as some podcast creators. They do not speak to each other completely, and they record the podcast episode as an exploratory what happened in general. But that might be interesting as well. For some reasons and some content in it. How's your week, Callum?
Busy, it's the same old. I was talking to someone this week who pointed out it's only the second week of January and it's only the first full working week of January. And my goodness, it feels like it's March already.
Same here.
Really
Yes,
busy.
same here. I've been following a lot of changes, a lot of new things, and exactly like this. After 2 weeks of in theory normal work after the new year, I feel like it's been months already, but and it's just the beginning. But yeah, it's a lot of things is happening, and a lot of new things around Umbraco community as well. So maybe we can kick off from New Year's reception, because that was the beginning of this week. It was a live stream event, virtually celebrating the new entrance into 2022. And you, Callum, attended. What's your feeling after the reception?
I've got lots of thoughts and feelings. Lots to say. I guess, it's good. Umbraco's got a direction. They've got a plan that they're going to execute. The key word, I think, is maturity across all of this. It's all more mature. It's all more serious. Philip's got a nice new mature beard.
It all follows the theme, right? The maturity.
Yeah. No, I think if you compare it to, was it 2-3 years ago where it was on a Zoom link that had a maximum of 100 attendants or something, and people couldn't join in. Whereas now this was watched by lots and lots of people. It's all very slick. They've got a nice setup. They had different hosts. It was nice to see them bring different people in from the community all over the world, have messages shared. And also, if you look closely here, this is their new office.
Yes. You've been there, right? When you visited.
I have, yeah. I mean, it was a building site when I went. But yeah, they've got a little engine in the middle there. It's kind of a big L shape, so it goes round the corner. But they've not moved in just yet, I guess. So it's quite cool to see that being used. We, of course, for the V9 launch, we had the engine room in the current HQ building. So yeah, it's good to see them incorporating the
engine team. Team is also still with us, but maybe to summarize some of the takeaways from the reception to all of the people who didn't watch it. As you've said, new goals, definitely continuing to growing the CMS and also pushing forward the Heartcore platform, for example, and also growing the US presence. That was mentioned, and also something what made us all probably happy is like the Codegarden plans are still in place, and the whole team mentioned also that they still are aiming to have the biggest Codegarden ever, whatever it means, right?
So it's going to be a hybrid event. They've confirmed. I think Trina and Ilham said they still don't yet quite know what form it's going to take. They're working that out still, but the hope is to have a hybrid event. Whether could we have called last year's hybrid? I don't think so. It was a virtual event, wasn't it? So if they're saying hybrid, that implies there's a little bit more interaction in some way with the community in person, hopefully, where possible. But they've announced a target date as well, not a target week. They're buffering this a lot. So it's the week of the 13th of June, which is, I think, kind of regular Codegarden week. More or less. It's actually the week after last year's event.
Is it colliding with any UK midterms or anything like that? Because I remember that in the previous years it was a problem.
Other than my in-laws visiting, no, it's not. It's not. There's I think we have a mega bank holiday 2 weeks before or something. So no school holidays.
Collisions.
It's getting in the way of, which is quite good. but yeah, it'll be interesting. I think, if we're going to predict, if they're saying week of the 13th, it's probably going to be the Thursday and Friday, or the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of that week, like it has been for previous years. I'm assuming if they do a virtual event, a virtual component of the event, it will be like last year, where they have Thursday, Friday as talks, and the Wednesday was kind of a pre-party, the awards, the introductions. So let's see. It'll be really, really interesting.
But we can already pencil it in the calendars for sure, and that's a good information for all of the Umbraco community members who was planning to visit, to attend, and to align against the Codegarden. Because also from the perspective of developers, agencies, and companies, it's also an opportunity to prepare work, gather some information, and also the use cases for awards, as you've mentioned, for example. So that's a good checkpoint in the calendars as usual. Plus, of course, we can expect a lot of updates from Umbraco because the Codegarden was always a checkpoint and always a deadline for many interesting things to release. And also in terms of planning, you've mentioned maturity and you've collected a great also notes about a 5-year plan for Umbraco, and that's something what was mentioned also after Montero being involved, that the plan is beyond 1 year, beyond just now, and it was a 2 million of installs of Umbraco, making Umbraco Cloud the best place to host Umbraco and have a global service coverage. From the main takeaway.
We already learned this week about their plans to kind of scale up their operations team so that they're able to support internationally and kind of support beyond other hours. I think even with their existing support offering, they cover kind of 2/3 of their customer base's time zones, which is pretty good. The Umbraco Cloud US data center is going to come sometime this year, and again, that's going to introduce new challenges with other infrastructure that can go down out of hours and stuff. So they're going to be expanding their team, which is very, very interesting. And I'm keen to see how they do it. I'm assuming it's not going to be a case of torturing some poor people to work overnight in Denmark. I'm assuming they're going to be opening offices. They did say actually that they'd be solidifying their operations in key markets like the UK and I think the Netherlands, where they've got people working there already. So they'll be setting up offices, if you will. Not that they would have necessarily a central office, but we're going to see a lot more of that. They've got one in the US already. I assume we'll see Australia and probably UK as being logical things that come out of that.
Yeah, we'll definitely observe it from the close perspective. And one other thing what was mentioned, and you've asked about the explanation of DXP in general, and I so whenever I hear DXP, I think about DMX as a rapper. I don't know why. It's like maybe it's a new opportunity for us to have a new squad for the presentation. DMX, DXP.
I highlighted in the notes here 2 words that were mentioned a lot, and this is not criticism, I'm just highlighting it, we'll talk about it, was DXP and enterprise, specifically those 2 words. And it's clear from looking at the plans and the mission for the next 5 years that we're moving more in that direction. The thing that I would add is we're not just talking enterprise. They've said mid-market to lower enterprise customers, which I think is really interesting. And I people, when we say, Umbraco is going to target enterprise, they're thinking like, big multinational corporations, lots of suit-wearing salespeople going and trying to impress these customers. I don't think that's what they're going for. I think they're just trying to make their products a little bit more appealing to those areas, which is great. I fully support. But then we've got this DXP thing, which I still haven't a clue what it is. Like I know what the words mean. I know what DXP means.
What the definition is.
And I know what it would look like. It's, integrations. But what does it mean for Umbraco? I do not know. We keep talking about it as a term. I assume marketing people understand it, because I certainly do not. And we had a chat about it at the London Meetup last night. There's a lot of people sharing the same view. People don't know what DXP means. It's an item on the roadmap, but I don't know what it actually means for the product.
Yeah, we all know that it will be still defined under probably individual definitions as well. But in my understanding, at least, it's like seeing Umbraco as a part of the bigger ecosystem. And if the company thinks about digitalizing their business, it's like, oh, Umbraco is a part of it, and it's easy to be considered as a part of the puzzle with the bigger puzzles in it. So that's how I see it. But the use cases probably will tell us more about it, and marketplace and the general.
The marketplace is really exciting. The DXP itself, as we keep talking about it, is interesting because we have seen elements of this already with the work that's been done with Umbraco Forms. They've got HubSpot integrations. They've got I don't know what others, but this idea that they're going to create third-party extensions for the common stuff that people want is fantastic. The one thing that I'm getting stuck on is how Umbraco's whole selling point is that it's flexible and you kind of get nothing out of the box. You build exactly what you want. So these integrations, there's nothing to integrate with out of the box. Like you want DXP on a form, well, you install Umbraco Forms and there's some plugins for it, but DXP for content or marketing, there's no personalization engine in Umbraco, there's no analytics engine in Umbraco. So if we're talking about having things that can plug into that, Umbraco doesn't have it. So is the DXP project to define those things for Umbraco to come up with a standard way of doing e-commerce, personalization, analytics, and all of that?
I don't think about it like that, to be honest, because take a look on commerce tools integrations, for example. So you have the entrance and connector points for the e-commerce solution. Same with the personalization engines. There is so many of them. I don't even follow how many personalization engines are out there. Pardot, for example, from Salesforce ecosystem. You can personalize everything, and maybe Umbraco might be a good landing spot for the personalized content, or the content from Umbraco can be parsed through the personalization engines, and that's how I see it. So there's no standard way. We know that there is no best practice and single way of doing things, but being open for and Paul Seal mentioned that here, that composable architecture, being open and being able to easily integrate with these tools. See for example Zapier as a connector point, right? That's how I see the easiness of connecting third-party tools with each other. And if Umbraco will be open to listen and to send events, for example, to various systems like that, that's the game changer for the CMS. And
it's just how this
hopefully it's not too late, right?
It's how this ties to a marketplace. Having something you can install and it just works is, I think, what customers are expecting. But that's not how Umbraco works. It's not a plug-and-play solution. You have to build out some things. So I'm really interested to see where this goes. Like I say, I just want some concrete examples. If they could say our focus this year is improving integration with analytics or personalization or tracking or e-commerce or whatever, then I get it. But it's still so broad, I don't know. And maybe they don't know either. It's a 5-year plan, ultimately, the DXP.
Yeah, exactly. But for whoever missed it, it's still available on the platform called SpotMe. And that's something what we've been also investigating with Callum before going live today, that the platform has a lot of content shared outside of the events that we've seen and we attended. And we said it looks similar like Facebook, but for Umbraco-related events and content here. And it's interesting because all of the events seems to be hosted here. We will be able to go back to them. There are some other videos and other content items that we can see and preview and go back to. It seems like we will have a content hub for events related stuff and Umbraco related stuff out here.
Yeah, so it is interesting. I mean, how did let us know in the chat, how did people find the news reception and the new platform? I know, Marcin, you had everyone had some feedback. I think the video is a little bit too small. The UI needs some improvement. It's quite Facebook-esque. It's like a mini social network type thing, which is interesting. One of Joe shared some CSS in the chat that you could dump into the browser and make it all look a little bit better.
Very useful.
I'd love to be able to have the chat and the full screen video there. That would be
small controls here enabling us to go with the bigger video, same as on YouTube, for example, the cinema mode or anything like that. And if not, I'm sure that someone from Umbraco community will make a browser extension
that hijacks it all.
To change the views of this.
From what HQ said, the plan is that Codegarden and other events will be run on here. We've had three things this week that were organized through SpotMe. We had the news reception. We had an MVP Connect, which is like an MVP catch up every couple of months, and we also had community office hours. And they've all had pages on here, and they've all had their videos shared afterwards, and it's quite nice. I'm unsure about how it's locked away. It's all behind a login. It's not on YouTube or discoverable. There was a fantastic video this week posted. This one, what makes the community special? I'm sure it will turn up on YouTube because the Coma team probably wouldn't allow it not to. But this is a really nice video, and you can interact and like it and share it. It's cool. Cool.
But maybe that's the way, some content might be duplicated. That's nothing wrong in it. But here, exactly for the permissions reasons, MVPs can access just an MVP related content, etc., etc. So that might be an idea behind it. But yeah, as any tool, it has its ups and downs, and we definitely will need to learn how to use it. But it seems like it's there, and it does the job because those 3 events happened.
Break. Like
and did it limit accesses for
webcast
people.
or something. Didn't break like webcast. So yeah, that's positive, and we can still do our claps and things that we did last
really
year.
Cool.
So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so that's good. Check it out if you missed it. And yeah, I asked on the chat on what's your takeaways from the reception. So if you have any interesting observations or maybe expectations from this year in terms of Umbraco and Umbraco related stuff, let us all know. New releases, and congrats Emma on this release. that's something what I also didn't know. And thanks for having this time with us here today. And the new release of Umbraco was also mentioned this week, and Warren and Ronald did an unboxing video of 9.2. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet fully, but we've been mentioning some of the content of this release already, and it seems like a very cool and very stable version of Umbraco 9. Have you used it, Callum, already?
I've not. I wish I could have. But I have seen lots of people raving about it, including on Slack this morning. Jan Skovgaard was saying how he's building his first new project in a while, and he's able to use the Markdown stuff. And that's really awesome. And like you can put italicized text and stuff. And it's this. I think Soren even said who actually made the pull request to make it happen, but he said he'd in previous projects had some code that hijacked it to allow custom markup in those description fields and stuff. So yeah, it's cool that the community can now do this in the core. Also, I was going to say, nice to see some different faces on these unboxings. We've had Warren, of course,
Runa, for sure.
with Runa and Philip, but we've got Ronald, who's been in the community a long time, of course, but we've not really seen him on any or too much HQ material, which is really cool. So.
Yeah, and again, big kudos for these captions and everything here, helping to really jump through the content and explore it around our interest. That's a huge input and a lot of work to do it like that. So very, very appreciated from the perspective of YouTube beginning YouTubers for sure.
We've discussed for so long. It would be great to have the little segments and it's so much effort. It's insane, so much effort. We discussed we could try and automate it or something, but no, it's a lot of effort.
Maybe if we will get 1,000 subscribers, let's play like YouTubers. 1,000 subscribers and 100 likes underneath this video, and we'll make captions for one of them.
If enough people go and buy me a coffee, we could hire a social media manager, Marcin, someone that can sit there and carve up all the videos, create little clips that they share on Twitter and stuff. Although we still can't get the Twitter handle, can we?
5-year plan, Callum. 5-year plan.
5-year plan.
5-year plan. Yeah, 5-year plan. The next big information and big release upcoming is from Matt and the new name of an old and well-known project called Fluidity, right now called Konstruct, and something what I truly loved. And something what I really liked and used a lot in the past Umbraco projects, some fluid API and language to write and customize and build custom sections and CRUD operations for Umbraco in general, I would say. And it seems like
I'm still a little torn on fluid APIs because it's obviously a mainstay of lots of .NET projects now, and it's very common. When I see a lot of code like that's involved in, it's not a lot of code, is it? It's really simple. It's quite easy to follow, but it's an overwhelming block that if on first glance you go, whoa, what's that? However, when I compare that against, we've been doing some custom back office sections this week, quite complex stuff as well. And there's hundreds of files and classes and all the stuff that's involved with it. That's so much simpler. So that's really, really cool. And this is on V9 as well. So there's nothing like this for V9, which, it looks really awesome. And actually the quality of the UI that it's creating there is pretty decent too. It's native Umbraco stuff. It looks and feels just like Umbraco.
Did Matt reply to the question from Warren about the using UI library?
Yeah, he did. So that's not being used currently because it's not used in the back office. As and when that happens, Matt said, yeah, maybe. However, he also highlighted that he's probably higher up the stack than that. He's composing the kind of the infrastructure and the different directives that live in core, or the different components that live in core, rather than an individual button, for example. So at some point, I think was the answer.
Yeah, but to wrap up the fluid stuff, I think it also combines very well with the feature toggled approaches and configuration driven settings. Let's say, you can enable, disable everything from here. You can control everything from one place. You are not distributing this stuff across the places, and
very much.
It's just more convenient if you get used to it, of course, because if I saw this spaghetti line of codes at some point and many extension methods that were chained, I also felt bad at the beginning, but then it's a pretty common standard these days. We need to get used to it.
Something that also makes a big difference, and that is done perfectly here, but is properly indenting and kind of managing the chain visually in code. It's a weird thing you have to do when you're working with those kind of APIs, but it does make a big difference. I was just going to add to this. So fluidity, of course, was for V7, not for V8, and it was free. It was something that Matt hacked together, and at the time, or hacked together is maybe a disservice to Matt. It was an idea that he explored and fleshed out and made something really cool work. He also did fantastic efforts on building great docs there, which has flowed into Vendor. Now, Matt's confirmed that Konstruct is going to be a commercial product, which I think is perfectly reasonable. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially with the amount of effort and support that Matt puts into his projects. So,
and documentation being already in place.
Yeah, exactly. The documentation site, which Matt linked to the other day, in fact, is already up there. You can explore it. It looks really, really decent. Matt said that it's going to be, I think, maybe not confirmed, but the price is about £450 plus VAT for a license, which is on the more expensive side of commercial plugins. Perhaps it's not Vendor, because it's not a full system. It's not uCommerce. It's not usync complete, but it's equally not one of the kind of like, it's not, say, CMS import, which is quite a bit cheaper. That said, and the justification was, it's about equivalent to a day or a day and a half or 2 days worth of a day rate, an agency's rate or a freelancer's rate. And you're going to save so much more time by using this. And I think that's an incredibly interesting value proposition, saying this is saving you X time or X cost, we believe. And so we're going to position it as like somewhere a bit less than that.
Because it depends how you compare it, right? We've been talking about it in the past many times, that sometimes it's easier to pay even higher price if you will calculate and compare it with the amount of time you need to spend to do something. And here, even though you need to build a custom section for Umbraco, custom communication with the database, etc., it's a lot of work. It's hard to say it's just something what you can copy and paste and run or just apply by default. And here you pay for a license, you have it, and you have a support, you have an extension method, filtering, and so many great things that I was using in the past. So complete product.
There will always be free options. There will always be people who refuse or can't, but largely I think it's refuse to pay for these kinds of things and would rather spend the time building their own or whatever, and that's absolutely fine. You do whatever you want to do, but for me that's a no-brainer, and I think Matt has got the cost proposition bang on there. Like it would become a no-brainer to just install that on a project.
Cool. Looking forward to releasing it and using it in the further Umbraco projects. Callum, you've mentioned Meetup and Meetups. You've had a London Meetup catch up yesterday.
Yeah, we did. It was just a good chat, small group, and we went through all the 24 Days articles and had some very good discussions about all the Umbraco news and things. And there was also yesterday a conflicting meetup. It was the Belgian. Dave did a talk on making editors happy 2.0, I think. And the V9 version. Oh no, I lied. That was his DukeFest talk. It was migrating. It was a migrating talk. But yeah, equally 2 meetups yesterday.
Nice. And we have some upcoming meetups to remind us all about. Leeds meetup, also open discussion and probably planning of the things ahead in time. On January 20, there is a meetup. Oh, it's the same one. The other one is on January 25th on how to build a site on open source Umbraco.NET Core.
That's my
delivered
fault.
by Warren.
I screwed the links up, but that other link is the Edinburgh Meetup, and there's no details announced for this. There's no details announced for this just yet. I don't quite know when that will be, but yeah, I will correct the link, and that will be down below.
Okay, yeah. So that's these 3 meetups aligned in the short time ahead, and yeah, that's all what we know already. If we missed something in terms of meetups or any other are happening, and we can make them visible on the video description, let us know. And blog content, some additional content released this week, starting from how to build a search page in Umbraco V9 from John, with the video and blog posts. Again, I don't know how John finds this amount of time to be such detailed in this content being shared.
Honestly, he's a machine. I think he's giving us a tutorial or 2 a week, not just on Umbraco stuff. He did a whole JS series. Back to the Umbraco stuff. He did V8 things before. He's now on to V9. Every single one gets accompanied with a pretty detailed video and a walkthrough, and he's quite engaging to watch as well. Very, very good content. And
we need to invite John to the umbraCoffee.
We should. From a technical quality point of view as well. Absolutely on the nail with pretty much everything he says. And I'd have to say, when I first started with Umbraco, even then, he was maybe that's a lie. I think when I started working with V7, so it was V7 was pretty new. He was right on there with new content, how to do stuff in V7 too. So he's been doing this a hell of a long time. Let's get him on. It's a good idea. Let's get him on.
That's a good idea. I'm curious if he is following other YouTube channels and videos on the platform about Umbraco. We'll definitely see it. But yeah, it's a great tutorial and great information on how to really build a search page in Umbraco V9 with a complete set of information on how to do it. Another blog post, very detailed as well, is coming from Hank this week, and it was heavily reshared on Twitter thanks to dev community and dev to reach, what is also beneficial for the general Umbraco reach around the community and across the programmers around the globe. And it's about powering Umbraco with a bit of Azure. What is a very wide topic, and Hank, of course, is touching a lot of interesting extension points and topics combined with Umbraco from the Azure perspective, and I kind of like this one. And again, a lot of things in single place, a lot of topics to explore further. Really cool stuff.
Hank gave this talk at the Umbraco Together event, and he shared. A lot of people were very impressed. He just had lots of scripts. He did the whole thing in the browser. He did it all through code spaces, and he was able to spin up a Docker container and then deploy to Azure Container Service like really, really quickly, which was cool. And then all the scripts are here, of course. There's a GitHub repo that has it all in as well. And we'll have a video recording of that talk going up in the next few days, I'd hope. So people can go watch that too. It got a great reaction at the time, and definitely worth a read as well.
Nice. Yeah, and last but not least from the blogs was about upgrading Umbraco from Umbraco 8 to 9. And it's also highlighting some of the notes and findings and issues catched during the process And I think, again, we've been talking about this multiple times, that upgrading process is very common these days, and a lot of people are both migrating or even rethinking migrating from 7 to even 9. And yeah, it's great to see many more findings and shortcuts and possible use cases for us if we'll be going to this path. I don't plan to migrate any 7 to 9. But it would be really interesting to see this process more often. What about you, Callum? Did you upgrade any of the old solutions to 9, or you did the talk from 8 to 9?
We've not done an upgrade yet from 8 to 9. No, I've done package migrations, and found those relatively simple, especially even for ones where I was doing some complex or complex things with routing or things that people wouldn't traditionally do in projects, and I found that quite easy. So I have hopes for when we come to do a V8 V9 upgrade. Hopefully there's one in the middle of this year. It might be a V10 one though. It might go 8 to 10.
Oh yeah. That's true. And that's about content-wise blogs. There were 2 announcements from the Umbraco HQ side. Profile of January, what is Corny, and huge congrats for Corny to achieving this profile. And it's interesting because I've mentioned it to Corny on Twitter that I felt like he's a part of the community for definitely longer time than he mentioned. It feels like ages already. And Corny is a very active community member who truly deserved being highlighted as a U profile here. And Corny also joined the reception this week.
Right? He did, and yesterday's Umbraco Lab.
Yesterday.
The Thursday lunchtime session. He did a pull request out of that as well. So yeah, lots of activity from Corny. His talk at the DF21 was fantastic too. Incredibly natural speaker. So no, I'm very happy to see Corny as active in the community as he is.
Yeah, cool. And new hire, not completely new because from August.
New hire that's been there about 6 months, but that's fine. August 2021 he joined.
Yeah. I mentioned August 2021, but new hire. The queue of blog posts is just a line like that, probably from the Umbraco perspective. But yeah, it's impossible to highlight everyone who joined the company so fast. But this blog post is about Paul, who joined the D team. And my personal highlight is we have another snowboarder in Umbraco family. So the vision of having a snowboarding trip somewhere near Denver or anywhere else in Europe maybe has more additions to it. I kind of like it.
You can do an alpine version of Codegarden.
Yeah, that's my dream. That's my dream. I spoke with Andrew Barta back in the days about visiting Denver at some point and mountains there. So yeah, I need to heal my knee, and I'm up for it, and I can be even an organizer of it. So yeah, good to have some more people on board. Paul, I will reach out to you if I'll be organizing it for the HQ support. And last but not least is in addition to 24 days, maybe you can also highlight that we've seen some new videos of recordings of the blog post being read by Paul and the team in 24 days. And here it was an update from Sebastian and HQ that they supported the initiative, and for the celebration of this anniversary, they've planted 459 trees?
500. Yeah, because you can't do such an odd number. 500 trees they planted.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, so yeah, more cheers and more congrats to the 24 days team. And I believe that there is more videos and recordings coming to be released in the upcoming weeks. Yeah, so that's all from our list. I don't think there is anything what we've missed. Callum, do you have anything else?
I hope we've not missed anything, because it took me a little while. No, I don't think so. That's a good summary of the week. I was going to say, after last week's episode, just like before this, we had a good chat and the camera wasn't rolling. And one of the things that I said was, coming back after Christmas, thought I'd be a lot more motivated, do some community activities, and I wasn't. And I'm still not. I still feel very, very demotivated. And with things like umbraCoffee, it's lovely chatting with Marcin each week, we have always said we do this because we would have done that anyway. We would have just chatted asynchronously about all of the Umbraco news. But I want to make sure we can keep this exciting. So if you've got any ideas for guests or topics or things you want us to explore, live coding things, please tell us, share. We used to have a Google form somewhere below, but we don't anymore. But you can reach us on Twitter and Slack, and I'm not on Discord, but you can.
But I am. You can reach me, and we can exchange the ideas.
Let us know how we can keep this interesting and exciting. We have in the past gone when we're really busy or when there's less news on. Marcin and I do it ourselves. Finding a guest is really tough and quite stressful. And we had for years a lot of pressure to say we need a guest each week and we need to have someone new each week, and that's disappeared over the past few years. But I just want to keep it interesting. How can we do that? Please tell us.
We are a very clever and creative community, so definitely your voice and your opinions are the most important ones. So let us know.
Was it you last week, Marcin, or maybe someone else that said, whilst that might be my perception of, it's the same repetitive, it's just us each week, the community still seemingly takes value from it, and that's fantastic to hear. But we only do this because people watch. Like we if no one watched each week, we'd probably stop broadcasting on YouTube. So yes, please tell us how we can make this better for everyone else.
And again, if we are proper YouTubers and you are proper YouTubers right now watching us, let us know if you like it. Drop a like button, leave a comment, subscribe, share it for anyone else who might benefit from it. If you feel like this is valuable content for someone else, because that will help us to also reach more people and do more crazy and interesting things in the future, because that's our plan for sure and our ambition. And motivation will follow. Motivation will follow. I truly believe in it. It's ups and downs everywhere. And also, I saw a great video on TEDx yesterday or the day before about lacking motivation in general, problems like that. So I definitely feel like we are all going through that from time to time. And we'll definitely fight it, because somewhere further in time, they will be all good, back on track. And hopefully it will be also more engaging and interesting for people who will be watching that. Cool. So thanks everyone for being with us this week. As we've mentioned, we will love any kind of feedback from you, any kind of comments and interaction. Let us know if you have anything else to highlight, or maybe someone who needs to be highlighted in umbraCoffee for the upcoming weeks. Because as usual, we'll see each other on the next Friday. So have a great rest of the day, an amazing weekend, and see you next week, everyone.